Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
Tercera cumbre sur del Grupo de los 77 y China. Constituye un honor para nosotros participar en esta magna cita, convocada por la hermana República de Uganda. Reitero la satisfacción por estar en tierras africanas, a la que nos unen profundos lazos de hermandad y solidaridad. De nuestros ancestros africanos heredamos el espíritu de lucha y la capacidad de resistencia que caracterizan al pueblo cubano. África merece todo nuestro respeto y acompañamiento en el camino al desarrollo, por lo que los saludo con especial afecto a sus dirigentes. Reconozco en particular el liderazgo del presidente Museveni como promotor de la paz y la estabilidad en África y a nivel internacional. Excelencias, unidad debe ser la palabra de orden para el Grupo de los 77 y China en estos tiempos difíciles, cuando proliferan las maniobras para dividir a los países del sur. Ahora invito a su excelencia, Sultán bin Saad al-Mujaray, ministro de Estado para las Relaciones Exteriores del Estado de Qatar, país anfitrión de la segunda cumbre.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. فخامة الرئيس يوري موسيفيني، أصحاب الفخامة والسمو ورؤساء الدول والحكومات، السيدات والسادة، التحديات الماثلة في عالمنا اليوم التي تتطلب منا مواجهتها متحدين، وظلت دولة قطر تولي أهمية للتعاون بين بلدان الجنوب. في مارس من العام 2023 مؤتمر الأمم المتحدة الخامس للتعاون بين بلدان الجنوب، وقد تبرع حضرة صاحب السمو أمير البلاد حفظه الله بمبلغ 60 مليون دولار أمريكي، يخصص 50 مليون دولار منها للمشروعات التي تعزز صمود أقل البلدان نمواً في دولار أمريكي خلال الفترة من 2014 إلى 2021. الأصحاب التي شهدتها المنطقة العربية منذ 7 أكتوبر 2023.
Invito ahora al presidente de la República de Uganda a asumir formalmente la presidencia del Grupo de los 77 y China para 2024.
His Excellency Antonio Guterres, Secretary General of the United Nations, His Excellency Dennis Francis, President. This summit is an appropriate forum to speak with a common voice as leaders of the Group of 77 and China on the urgent need for effective actions to accelerate the implementation of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development during the remaining 7 years to realize our vision, shared principles and commitments, particularly the eradication of poverty in all its forms and dimensions, and the pledge that no one will be left behind. Excellencies, setting the path toward the realization of leaving no one behind requires that as a group we remain united in our demand to the international community to support developing countries to urgently address the global challenges, in particular poverty, hunger, digital divide, and climate change.
Uganda's assumption of the chairmanship coincides with the group's 60th anniversary. I have no doubt that with such capable leadership, Uganda will confidently carry forth the torch of leadership for a prosperous, united, and stronger South. I should also like to recognize and commend the outgoing dynamic chair, Cuba, for its extraordinary and insightful leadership of the group during these trying times of geopolitical tensions and multifaceted challenges. Excellencies, our world is confronted by a confluence of crises, from the lingering impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic to rising inflation, from a worsening crisis of debt distress to the harsh realities of climate change, which for many, especially the most vulnerable, is a real existential threat. In parallel, escalating geopolitical tensions, wars, and conflicts have risen to the fore, shattering the lives of millions and putting the safety and security of the entire planet at risk. At the forefront of these is the harrowing humanitarian catastrophe in the Gaza Strip. Generations of families suffering irreparable trauma and loss, children undergoing amputations without anesthesia, entire neighborhoods reduced to rubble in one fell swoop. With half the population facing starvation and tens of thousands dead in just over 100 days, the world is looking to the United Nations for answers. The General Assembly has not sat idly in the face of this crisis. It has been both active and ambitious, often led by this very group of member states. It has demanded an immediate humanitarian ceasefire for all parties to comply with their obligations under international law and for the immediate release of all hostages and humanitarian access. I assure you that I shall not tire of reiterating these urgent demands, and I will do so for as long as it takes. I count on the collective leadership of this group to do the same. In tandem, we are witnessing mounting frustration with and the complete rejection of an unjust world order which continuously relegates the interests of the global South to the margins of the international community's list of priorities. Now more than ever, the G77 and all nations must come together and build bridges of dialogue, hope, and cooperation to create a more fair, more just, and more prosperous world for all.
成为国际事务中不容忽视的重要力量，成就值得骄傲，经验弥足珍贵。独立自主是南方国家的政治底色，大多数南方国家是从殖民主义历史泥淖中走出来的，勇于维护国家独立和民族尊严，不懈探索适合自身的发展道路。